Hi, it's Chris from Sally Forth. Thank you for joining me for another one of my painting videos. Today I'm a bit excited. I've just got a newly released set in the post to do a review and to paint up. So this is the Wargames Atlantic Grand Battle Scale Dwarven Host. So this box, believe it or not, contains 246 plastic miniatures and bases. So they are their they call it Grand Battle Scale. So this is basically the same scale as the old Games Workshop War Master game, and I've got some of those figures already, so I'm hoping that when I paint these dwarves up, they will look great side by side with my existing figures. So basically got sort of 3 sprues of miniatures and 3 half frames of bases, which hopefully are going to be the right number of bases to go with the 246 miniatures. What I'm going to do is have a look at the sprue so you can see the range of poses and miniatures that you get on there. I'll make a list of what the different unit types are going to be, what they're going to be armed with. We'll do, after I've painted a couple of units, I will do a painting guide, a step-by-step showing you the colours and whether I go for a black undercoat or a white undercoat. And then we'll do a 360-degree spin video, and I'll give you a few thoughts about how they worked, and do some photos of how they look with the old Games Workshop figures. For me, the key to painting these miniatures was to get the shields and the faces nice and bright so that they stand out. So I've done the shields either white and a primary colour or yellow and another primary colour. I tried several different techniques. Some of the figures I sprayed black and then dry brushed white before I started painting. Some of them I used a metallic spray, but I found that the very best results were as I showed in the stage by stage guide. Paint them white, put a brown ink wash, heavily dry brush it, and then start applying your speed paints and contrast paints. And they actually work out really well in this scale and really make the detail stand out. Is one of the 6 units of Dwarven Infantry that can be made up with the Dwarven Horde set. They've been glued onto bases with the bases lip side up and then filled with a bit of Tetrion filler, painted with matte brown emulsion, and then a bit of PVA glue and soil and scatter material. All of the helmets and the spear tips have been given a bit of a gloss varnish to make them twinkle. So this is the unit of Dwarven Cavalry mounted on rams that I painted for a painting article. I decided that this was going to be a bit of an elite sort of guard unit. So whereas on the other units in the army I've used 3 or 4 different colours for cloaks, I've given all of these a nice scarlet cloak, blue and gold shields, and blue with gold trim on the saddle blankets. So I don't know what you think about Ram Cavalry in a Dwarven army. I think it might have sort of come along with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit adaptation. But yeah, no, I think this is sort of adds a bit of mobility to what can sometimes be a slow and fairly static army. What we've got here is one stand from each of the 7 units that I made up from the Wargames Atlantic Dwarven Horde set. So we have a unit of archers, a unit of cavalry, 2 units of dwarves with spear, 1 unit with hand axes, 1 with swords, and 1 with 2-handed great axes. There's also enough figures in the set to make 3 command stands, and I used 25mm round bases for these, and there are some casualty figures which I'm going to make some casualty markers with later. I've painted up the whole of the Dwarven Host box now, and this has given me 7 4-stand units and 3 command bases. So we've basically got a 4-stand archer unit. We have 5 4-stand sort of deep heavy infantry, and we have a 4-stand cavalry unit of dwarves on giant rams, plus we've had enough figures to make up 3 command stands. Well, I hope you enjoyed that look at the new Wargames Atlantic 10mm Dwarven Host. I really enjoyed painting them. They do look great when they're painted up on the table. Are they perfect? Well, I've got a couple of points I'd like to pass on, where I think that when Wargames Atlantic are developing more sets, they might want to bear in mind the thickness of the shields. That was a bit off-putting. I think the way that I painted them up with black, and when you look at them as a mass, we've kind of hidden it a bit, but no, I would look at how you do sort of shields and the thickness of the plastic there, and also the way that they are sort of grouped together. That, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, that I think that the cavalry figures and the missile armed archers, they're best done in ones, and the troops that are going to be multi-ranked medium heavy infantry are best done in strips of 5. Makes them quicker and easier to paint. You don't need to worry about sort of ranking them up. But that said, no, I've used the full set. I've made 7 units, 28 stands, and I'm quite pleased with how they've turned out, and I will certainly be looking to paint another box set up to give me a complete Dwarven Host. I hope that they're going to follow up with a Dwarven Miniatures 2-pack, which would have some berserker infantry, maybe some sort of musket armed, and obviously the dwarven artillery, which is often a feature in the fantasy battle dwarf army. So I've gone for 4 stand units, so that gives me 3 cavalry figures, 2 strips of figures on the kind of medium heavy combat infantry, and 1 strip of figures for my missile troops. I had a few figures left over which I will use when I build the next brigade up, but this is basically 1 box has given me 7 units. In my experience, for a full tabletop army I'm looking at about 12 units, so this is about halfway there. I'm very pleased with the results and can't wait to paint some more. So I have used all of the bases upside down, if you like, with the depression at the top. That has allowed me to glue the plastic multi-base miniature onto the tray and then add a little bit of Tetrion sort of filler to fill in the gap, and then to apply my basing material of soil and woodland scenic turf on top of them. And I like the result. It matches my Wargames terrain, it looks nice and natural, and it hides the plastic sort of plinth bases nicely. Well, I hope you found that to be a useful video. If you liked it, please leave me some comments, subscribe to the channel, share it with your gaming mates, get the word out, and look forward to seeing you again soon.